Good morning. Please stand for the Veterans Parade and posting of colors, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, National Anthem, and Invocation. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
bow your head. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you today with hearts full of gratitude and reverence to offer our prayers for the brave men and women who have served in our armed forces. We thank you for their sacrifice, their unwavering commitment to protecting our freedoms, and their selfless service to our nation. May we always honor and respect our veterans, acknowledging the debt of gratitude we owe to them. Help us to never forget the price they paid for our freedom and to show our appreciation not just in words but in our actions. All this in Christ's name, amen. You may be seated.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us today as we gather to honor and express our profound gratitude to the brave men and women who have served in our nation's armed forces. Veterans Day is a special occasion that provides us with the opportunity to reflect upon the sacrifices made by these remarkable individuals and to recognize the enduring spirit of service that defines them. Today we stand, united as a nation, to pay tribute to our veterans. We owe a debt of gratitude that can never truly be repaid for their unwavering commitment to defending our freedoms and safeguarding our way of life. The sacrifices they have made, often at great personal cost, are a testament to their dedication to our country. They have endured hardships, faced unimaginable challenges, and often put their lives on the line to protect the ideas and values that define our great nation. It is through their actions that we have come to understand the true meaning of honor and sacrifice. It is not just the uniform they wear or the medals they have earned that makes our veterans special, but their enduring sense of duty, integrity, and selflessness. These qualities are what set them apart and make them deserving of our deepest respect and admiration. Let us remember that Veterans Day is not just a day off from work or a morning away from your classes. It is a day of reflection, appreciation, and action. It is a day to reach out to our veterans, to listen to their stories, and to offer our support to those who may still be struggling with the physical or emotional scars of their service. In our daily lives, let us strive to embody the principles that our veterans have upheld: a commitment to duty, a love for our country, and a willingness to stand up for what is right. By doing so, we can ensure that their sacrifices were not in vain and that the ideas that they have fought to protect continue to thrive. So today, let us be grateful for the freedoms we enjoy, for the security our veterans have provided, and for the examples of honor and sacrifice they have set. Let us remember that the freedoms we cherish are not free, and they come with the cost that our veterans have willingly paid. We express our heartfelt thanks to all our veterans, both past and present, for their service to our nation. We honor you, we are grateful for you, and we will never forget the sacrifices you have made. May we always strive to be worthy of the legacy you have left us. May God bless our veterans, and may God bless the United States of America. The Southside B Branch Band, under the direction of Davis Norton, will lead our Armed Forces Salute. Please feel free to stand if you wish during your service's song or hymn. United States Army. United States Marine Corps. United States Navy. United States Air Force. United States Coast Guard. United States Space Force.
Each year, nearly 68,800 students in 6th through 8th grade enter the VFW's Patriots Pin Youth Essay Contest for a chance to win their share of nearly $1 million in state and national awards. Each first place state winner receives a minimum of $500 at the national level, and the national first place winner wins $5,000. The essay contest encourages young minds to examine America's history along with their own experiences in modern American society by drafting a 300 to 400 word essay expressing their views based on a patriotic theme. The 2023 to 24 theme is, How Are You Inspired by America? Please welcome to the stage Christian Hutchcroft, the first place winner for VFW Post 4764, reading his essay, How Am I Inspired by America?
America is a place where people are free and have many opportunities and rights. It is a place where soldiers fight for the freedom we have. America can be very inspiring when it comes to the freedom of the country and the people who have given their lives for it. Loved ones taken from families who protected our flag and rights. Now allow me to explain how America is inspiring to me. The freedom in this country is amazing. In this beautiful country, there are no dictators, only democracy, which gives the citizens voting opportunities to elect which leaders will be best in the White House. No horrible punishments for speaking our opinions and freedom of speech. As our first president, George Washington, once said, "If the freedom of speech is taken away, then dumb and silent we may be led like sheep to the slaughter." This quote is saying that this country, if not possessing freedom of speech, will be blindly being destroyed due to lack of opinions to make it a better place. Without freedom of speech, this country would not have a clue on how to manage the well-being of its people. Freedom of speech inspires me by being able to state opinions on things that I believe. All of the soldiers who have or are serving in the military are something to be thankful for when it comes to being free. Many soldiers have passed away throughout the years fighting for the American people's freedom and rights. The veterans who have survived have to go through trauma and horrible things they have seen during their time serving. And many have lost friends they made on the way. A large number of veterans who have survived must deal with lost limbs or parts and cannot function like a normal human anymore. Even though they are hurting mentally and physically after the war, they are willing to sacrifice themselves for the freedom of our amazing country. The veterans and soldiers inspire me because of their bravery and willingness to fight for rights and freedom without backing down. America and its people are very inspiring. From the veterans who fought in war to the freedom we have, I am very inspired. An eagle as our country's bird because of its bravery represents us as brave and willing to protect our beautiful country.
Established in 1947, the Voice of Democracy audio essay program provides high school students with the unique opportunity to express themselves in regards to a democratic and patriotic theme recorded essay. Each year, nearly 25,000 9th through 12th grade students from across the country enter to win their share of more than $1 million in educational scholarships and incentives awarded through the program. The national first place winner receives a $35,000 scholarship paid directly to the recipient's American university, college, or vocational or technical school. And the first place winner from Arkansas wins a minimum scholarship of $1,000 in addition to an all-expense paid trip to Washington, D.C. The 2023 to 24 theme for the Voice of Democracy is, What are the greatest attributes of our democracy? The winner of the Voice of Democracy essay contest and $100 from the VFW Post 4764 is Olivia Frazier, reading her essay, What are the greatest attributes of our democracy?
Before we are able to discern the greatest attributes of our democracy, we must first define the word democracy. As defined by Abraham Lincoln, democracy is the government of the people, by the people, for the people. Our society today is built upon the ideals and attributes of our democracy. Now that we can understand what the word democracy means and the importance of it, we can now accurately distinguish its greatest attributes. Equality is one of the greatest attributes of our democracy. Without equality, the foundations of our country would crumble. The United States was founded upon the principles of equality, as stated in the Declaration of Independence. All men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. As humans, we are born with natural rights which are protected by our democracy and our government. When people think of democracy, the first thing that comes to mind is freedom. The citizens of our country often fixate upon the idea of freedom and fail to fully comprehend the impact that our freedom has on our lives daily. While we live in the comfort of our homes, there are men and women fighting for the freedom that we have become so accustomed to. We are privileged to be able to live without worrying about our freedom being ripped away from us. The Carroll County Comment writes, "The freedoms enjoyed by those living in democracies today are only possible due to the risks taken and sacrifices made by those in the armed forces. We attribute this feeling, this reality of security, to our democracy." In the First Amendment of the Bill of Rights, it is stated, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof." This amendment allows citizens of the United States to freely practice their religion. We are blessed as Americans to have the ability to worship freely and proclaim our faith, as so many others are not. Having religious freedom also means that we have the right to act in a religious way and not be expected to conform to what society believes we should be like. Our democracy ensures that we are able to choose what we believe or if we believe in anything at all. This attribute of our democracy is easily one of the greatest. Justice is among the most important attributes of our democracy. Our democracy allows us to have easy access to the justice system. As former President Theodore Roosevelt once said, "No man is above the law, and no man is below it, nor do we ask any man's permission when we ask him to obey it." Having access to the justice system is a necessary element of our democracy. It is estimated that at least 80% of Americans cannot afford legal help when they need it. Without our democracy providing access to justice for all people, our society as we know it would be much different. Now that we have discerned some of the greatest attributes of our democracy, we can now reflect on how fortunate we are as Americans and fully comprehend the effect our democracy has on our lives. Without attributes like equality, freedom, religious freedom, and justice, our society could not survive. Our democracy respects our natural and human rights as well as our rights to freedom stated in the Constitution. It is undeniably true that our democracy has so many great attributes that benefit its citizens and help keep order and peace.
It is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, Martin Gustafson of Sherwood. Marty served in the United States Army from August of 1981 until 1986. During that time, he flew the UH-1 Huey and the AH-1S Cobra helicopters in Katterbach, West Germany. In September of 1988, Marty joined the United States Air Force to serve his country again. During his time in the Air Force, Marty was a T-38 instructor, a C-130E and J model aircraft instructor and evaluator, as well as other assignments. Marty has deployed worldwide from the Arctic Circle to South Africa in support of humanitarian airlift, resupply, and defense missions worldwide. He has seen combat flight in Bosnia and Herzegovina in the early 1990s. Please join me in welcoming veteran Martin Gustafson to Southside.
Thank you very much. Can you guys hear me okay? I can't see. Now I know when I go to a concert why the people on stage wear sunglasses. Now I realize that. Let me see if I can get this to work. Other way, thank you. 50-50 chance. Yes, thank you. Good morning and happy Veterans Day to everyone out there, and also happy birthday, United States Marine Corps, 248 years young. Give yourself a round of applause if you're here from the Marines. Did anybody bring a cake? Birthday cake? No, that's all right. We'll get one later. It's an honor for me to be here. I want to thank the Southside School. I want to thank Mrs. Julie Nelson specifically for allowing me to speak with you today. It is an honor. See if I can get this to work. There you go. This is a main slide I wanted to show up front to really kind of covers what I think a veteran is. Now, there's something wrong with this in that it uses the word his up there, okay? And I'm sorry I didn't catch that right away when I put the slide up there, but we all know veterans are both men and women. But if you look at this, this is really true of the veterans that we have here in the United States today. They raised their hand swore an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. Okay, basically wrote a check, as you can see right there, up to and including their life. Doesn't matter where you were assigned, combat, no combat, it doesn't matter. When you raised your hand and you swore to protect and defend the United States of America and our freedoms, that's something special, and that's something all veterans have in common. And I thank you all for that. Currently, there's over 18 million veterans in the United States today. That number declines every year. What makes a veteran so special? The other thing to me is approximately 1% of U.S. citizens have served in the military. Took that oath that we talked about, wrote that check, and that makes people special. If you look around the auditorium here, the veterans that you see are mothers and fathers, grandparents, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, you name it, okay? And they're a really important part of our community, because if it wasn't for the veterans, we wouldn't be here today. So when I was asked by Mrs. Nelson to come up and talk to you briefly, by the way, my wife was going to be a timekeeper when I've talked for 1 hour. Vaughn, will you give me the 10-minute heads up? I'm kidding, it's not going to be an hour. Miss Julie is freaking out right now. So when she wanted me to come up here and talk, she said, look, keep it interesting, which is a hard thing to do, sorry, because it's me. And she wanted me to keep it personal and tell a couple of stories. And I'm one of those veterans, I would rather be standing up here, I guess, to say Happy Veterans Day to everybody and not talk about myself or anything like that. But I had the idea that I would let some people at the school, some of the students, submit some questions. And that helped me, I guess, develop what I wanted to talk about. So I'll give you a couple of these questions, and they were all excellent questions, by the way. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to read all of them. I got over 40 of them, and you guys don't want to hear me talk that long. But there's some really good questions here, and I'd like to cover some of the things that the students wanted to know. Skip the slide. There we go. First one, and the one that was asked the most of me is, how did you tell your family and friends that you were joining the military? Why did you join? I'm just reading these verbatim here. Why did you join the military? Why did you do it? Why did you decide that risking your life was worth it? So it was easy to tell my parents that I was leaving, because when I joined the Army at the ripe age of 17, my dad had to sign for me. So that was easy. They were in the loop about that. Why did I do it? I'll be honest with you. I wanted to serve my country, and I wanted to fly, period. And I thought there was no better place in the world to do that than in the armed forces. So I ended up going into the Army. I wanted to put this picture up here because this was when I had gotten through basic training and went home to South Dakota here, and that's why there's all that snow there, and I spent Christmas there. I was on my way down to Fort Rucker for training, and that young girl right there, her name is LaVon, 18 years old, and now 40-plus years later, she's still with me, and I want to say thank you for everything you've done for me as a veteran. And that goes to all the spouses and the family support that all the veterans here have enjoyed. We couldn't do it without you, so thank you very much. Next question, would I do it again? Yes, absolutely, without any hesitation. And I think most of the veterans would agree with that they would do it again also. This was a good question. What's the scariest thing in the military? And the first thing that popped into my mind was drill instructors. Are there any, I can't see, are there any drill instructors here? Former drill instructors? Anything? No? Any of the veterans? Nobody? I would say they were the scariest thing for me, so that's my answer for that. Next question, and this is kind of a combination of a couple of them. So how do you keep going and fighting when you miss your family? What's the hardest thing you ever had to do while serving and being deployed, and what's the hardest part? So for me, the answer to that is in this picture right here, which is my family. When we were at Pope Air Force Base, I was returning from one of my deployments out to the desert, and knowing that they are back here in the United States, free and safe, is the thing that kept me going. Okay, I loved that. What was the hardest thing? Without a doubt, it was friends, squadron mates, shipmates, company or platoon mates, as the case may be, depending on your service. Having them either be injured or killed in action was obviously the hardest part, either due to combat action or terrorist, which is the same thing basically. And again, what was the best part of it? Knowing your family and a grateful nation were behind you. And all the veterans are very appreciative of that. That didn't happen all the time, and I know that, especially for our Vietnam veterans, which is why I try to say to them every time I meet one, thank you for your service and welcome home. But our nation is very grateful for all the veterans. Let's see. If you were deployed overseas, how did you tell your loved ones you were being deployed? You know, it's kind of interesting. A lot of times the spouse network knew before we did. No, that's not true, really. But pretty close-knit community. We would have maybe regularly scheduled deployments or training exercises that we kept our families in the loop about. There have been our share, and most veterans have probably experienced this, of 24-hour or less than 24-hour notice to go somewhere. And what you do is you go home and you pack your stuff, you tell your family where you're going, and then they carry on, which is why I'm so appreciative for my family, and I know all the veterans are, for their support system. So that's basically what we did for that. Another good one is, if you saw multiple deployments, how did they differ from each other, and how did you change? I don't know if I really changed too much, but the one thing that I'll say for me, so for my time in the Army, I was very fortunate, very blessed, with a lot of luck also, to fly the AH-1 Cobra. I was over in West Germany when Germany was divided at the time. Over there we did a lot of training. We spent a lot of time at the range. The Cobra is a great aircraft to fly. It's got 20 millimeter, it's got rockets and TOW anti-tank missiles on it. Thankfully, we did some deployments around Europe, but we didn't have to do what we were there for, which is to be a defense in case there was a land battle between East and Western Europe, and that, luckily, like I said, didn't happen. I throw this in there because it's kind of a neat picture of the Cobra. This is not my picture, but I found it and I wanted to share it. That's the office. One pilot in the front, one in the back, and the rockets going out on either side. It was quite the adventure. When I was in the Air Force, flying C-130s, I think we kind of stretched our legs a little bit, and I went out quite a few places in the world where you've got two missions, basically. You're going to deliver personnel and equipment. Okay, the C-130 is the best airplane out there because you can treat it like an airborne dump truck and fly it almost anywhere in the world. We would either do an air-land operation, which is flying into an airfield, or what you see up here is doing airdrop, okay? This one here, you see in C-130 airdropping what we call CDS, Containerized Delivery System, which was that was the bulk of our mission when we were deployed, to go out and either air, land, or airdrop equipment. If it was during combat, food, medicine, ammunition, most of my time, even though at times there was somebody that wanted to shoot at us, it was delivering humanitarian aid to a nation in need. The air-land operations we had a lot of fun with. This was one when I was stationed at Pope. I flew up in the Northwest Territories above the Arctic Circle. We had what we used to be called a DEW line. I'll be honest, I don't know if we still have it anymore, but the distant early radar warning sites, and would resupply them. Or another interesting place I went to, if anybody recognizes this is Entebbe in Uganda. We went there for a couple of months in the mid-1990s to help with a Rwandan relief effort that country was going through, basically a famine and a genocide. We based out of Entebbe and flew a lot of relief supplies down there. And to me, that was one of the most gratifying things that I did in my career, was to help those people out. Another question was, last one is, was it difficult to come back and go about regular life when you were no longer active? For me, I lucked out. This picture you see right here is a picture of the simulator at Little Rock Air Force Base. When I left active duty, I came back to that and taught for about 14 years in the simulator and taught academics, so I was able to stay in a support environment with veterans. Some people, a lot of people probably don't do that when they come back out of the military. They go to an area where there's not a big veteran support system, and it can be harder for them. It's definitely harder. So things like this is great. This area has a big veteran community, and having a ceremony like this is absolutely awesome. In closing, I would like to put these two slides up, both by Ronald Reagan. I'll read this first one for you. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. or one day we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it was once like in the United States where men were free. The other one, and I believe this was even earlier, this basically says the same thing, but I wanted to point out the first and last sentence of it. Perhaps you and I have lived with this miracle too long to be properly appreciative. Those who have known freedom and then lost it have never known it again. So I would like to, it's a little bit unorthodox maybe, but I would, since this is Veterans Day, this is one of my favorite movies. I throw this up here so that if you ever have a chance, I told myself I wasn't going to say that because that's part of the title. If you have an opportunity to see this movie, Taking Chance, see it. It came out in 2009 from real events that happened in 2004 when we had a really nasty war going on in Iraq, and it talks about a Marine Corps lieutenant colonel who basically escorts a fallen service member back home. It's got a good message. It's very educational for the students and the younger people. I put it up here because I also think it has a good message for veterans. It really does, if you get a chance to watch this. The other thing that I'll say in closing, I've said that 2 or 3 times now, is for the students out there. A couple of words of wisdom. I know they're not, it wasn't asked for, but I'm going to say it anyway. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep your education going. Knowledge is power. I know that all the students know that, but please keep doing what you're doing and live your own life. When I say live your own life, that doesn't mean you don't have to listen to your teachers or your parents or anything like that, but what I'm trying to get you to avoid is blindly following the masses. Please don't do that because most times the M is silent, and you can take that for what it's worth. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep everything going up here. You're going to be a lot happier in life if you do that. I want to say once again, it was an honor to be here and to speak with you. Thank you very much. God bless you all, and God bless our veterans. Thank you.
Although Veterans Day is a day to honor our living veterans, we pause to remember those who have gone before us. Please stand if you are able and remain standing for the benediction.
Almighty and compassionate God, we thank you for the men and women who have selflessly served our nation, sacrificing their comfort and safety to protect our freedoms. Inspire us to be agents of peace and reconciliation, working toward a world where war is no longer necessary. We ask for your blessings to be upon them, Lord. Grant them strength and peace in their hearts, healing for any wounds they carry, both seen and unseen. May we extend our gratitude beyond words to actions that demonstrate our unwavering support for those who have defended our country. May their sacrifices never be forgotten, and may we always honor and support them. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you for attending. Veterans and speakers, please join us in the front of the stage for our annual picture. Veterans and family, speakers and families, breakfast will be served at our old auditorium, and East students will guide you out the back door and through the halls of the upper elementary to get there. There will be a shuttle for those who may have mobility issues. It will pick you up at the front of the auditorium and will be available for your return to your car after breakfast. Let an East student or Miss Nelson know if you need this service. Thank you.